Welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And today, when you be viewing this, is Father's Day. We hope you're having a wonderful weekend. This is our father, Hiram, and our mom in the picture over there. They, the anniversary of their marriage just was a few days ago, and so we have these pictures up to honor them. We hope you're having a good weekend. It's hard. It's our first Father's Day without him, so.
Yeah, no, I was at Walmart yesterday, and I was like, going past the aisle, they had all this, Father's Day stuff, all the cards and the gift bags and all that, and I was like,
this is what helped me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Mm-hmm. But we can celebrate Father's Day because we had a great father.
Yes.
So that is really nice. Mm-hmm. I'm going to move. Let's see. Do we need to pause or can we can put that between us? Is that okay?
I think it'll block some of our projects.
Okay. Well, we'll move it, but we just wanted to. Yeah. So we'll be right back. We're back and I can see Beth. So are you going first, Eve?
Yeah. So I wanted to make the bags that I showed you the fabric for with this fabric and this fabric. And I, of course, wanted to make, this is for the big bag that I have cut out here. And I cut out this kind of turtle bag. And also this turtle bag.
That's cute.
Yeah. So I haven't cut out any of the interfacing or anything. But because I wanted to make this bag, I said, well, do I want to put a lemon on that? On this. And I said, I wonder if there are just citrus charms, Mm-hmm. And so I got this bag. I found this. And it's got, I'll take a picture because they're so small you wouldn't see them. But it's got oranges and grapefruits and lemons. And it's got little wedges of watermelon and strawberries and apples. And I think that's a cucumber.
Or kiwi?
Huh? No, look at it. It looks like a cucumber.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
That's cute.
So while I was looking for this, I thought,
I was going to say, a cucumber is technically a fruit, right? Because
I
it
think
has
so.
seeds on the inside.
I don't know.
Sorry. I just thought, why would there be a cucumber? Because I was like, cucumbers are vegetables. No, they're fruits, I would think.
Are you done? Mm-hmm. So while I was looking for those, for some reason, well, probably because they know I exist, this bag popped up. And it
online,
is...
You were online?
I was on Amazon.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
And it's got all kinds of patriotic, well, they're meant to be strung together like for a necklace. They've got gigantic holes and red, white, and blue and different patterns, and it's got these really big stars and little stars. And I said, well, those are cute. I didn't realize how big they were. I mean, they show you and all that, but you don't, until you're holding them in your hand, I said, well, I need some patriotic charms. Now, this is still part of what I did, right? not haul. And so I ordered the patriotic charms that I found that had the largest, what I thought would work. And I had this, there's others I've gotten at Hobby Lobby. I'll show you those in a minute. But this really cool eagle.
Oh, yeah.
And he's pretty decent. And I thought, well, that'll look good with that, right? In this package, and I'll take a picture of this because they're so small you wouldn't be able to see them. For some reason, there's a California. Are there any other states? No. But there's California. I mean, you know, there's the typical, you know, little star that looks like a flag and eagles and, you know, things like that. There's also Native American heads.
That proves it was made in China.
And it's not that I don't think that they were an important part of our history. I just don't understand including them in this.
And I don't think it's really appropriate.
Yeah, in California is the worst.
No offense to anyone who lives in California.
But it's not a patriotic charm. It's not.
It's a state charm. It would be one thing if all the states were.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would order a thing with all states if I saw it, because cool, right? Like Beth wanted to get the cross stitch pattern, and they only had states that she's like, what?
I don't want any of those states.
You know. And they told her well, they make them, but that's all we wanted to get in, and it wasn't even.
No,
Arizona.
it was just the latest batch. I think that was the latest release.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because the other, you know,
I was thinking even maybe with that big, since it was like a big thing of charms, maybe the states do exist, but it's just like a bucket, and they just, you know, you know what I mean? Like,
That might be why the Native Americans were in there, and
right,
you know, I don't know. Some of the actual patriotic ones are teeny tiny. Little heart,
oh,
but it's got a little flag on it.
see, I bet it was just like a giant bin, and they do it by the pound, and if the states get in, they get in. You know, maybe that's how it works.
So I remembered that I had this really big U.S. flag charm, and I said, "Oh, I'll make one with those," and it looks good. And on the back, it says "Land of the Free because of the Brave."
Nice.
So this isn't on the Etsy shop yet, because when I was taking pictures yesterday, I guess my hand was shaking because all the pictures look like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I was watching Tomorrow War last night. Maybe that's what.
And then, because of these patriotic charms, I had, a year ago, I purchased some charms that said like Marine Wife, Marine Mom. I was just mentioning that for the Navy, there's only Navy Wife. Apparently there's no Navy moms.
They just hatch out of the ground.
And the Air Force, they don't even get that. All they have is just Air Force.
the words Air Force.
Yeah.
Spilled on myself.
Anyway, I decided to add those patriotic charms to them to make scissor fobs. And this is the Navy Wife one, and it has a flag with a star with the flag on it. But they're both like a metallic
Let me see.
color instead of, you know, red, white, and blue.
Oh, that's nice. That's cute.
And the Air Force has a flag because, you know, that's they fly. I mean, not a flag, an eagle.
Yeah.
God, I'm not saying any of the right words.
Who's having this?
And then there's one that just says military mom, and it has a heart because, you know, you
That's
cry every
cute.
night until you know they're safe. And Marine Wife has a flag,
That's cool.
and Marine Mom also has a flag. And Army Mom has a different color of, it's like a bronzy looking star with a flag on it. And there is Army Wife, which has the same bronzy star. And of course, I will try to make actual better pictures of these. So while I was doing all of that, I remembered that I had the beads to do these, which are sold out, and I said, okay, I need to put those. These are already back on because renewing is a lot easier than putting a new thing. So it's a flag with
United States.
A United States with a flag on it, and
That's pretty. I've always liked that one.
yeah. So there is that. And then I took my one of my alien things and made two scissor fobs. Right?
It's important now because it's in the news. There's people that said they saw something fly overhead, and then there were these big 8 to 10 foot creatures in their backyard or something like that. And they're being investigated as possible aliens.
Are you finished?
I don't believe in aliens. Yes.
Okay, so I had a disaster while I was making these, which I will tell you in stories. And those of you who don't know, July 2nd is the day that in Roswell the alien landing is celebrated. They have a parade. All the stores have alien themed things. The lights on the main drag, they put eyes on them because they're already shaped
like an alien head.
And so they put eyes on those to make them look like aliens. So
when I went to Roswell, last time I was in Roswell, there was before all that fun stuff happened.
Were you there on July 2nd?
No, it was before all the alien
Were
landing
you there
stuff.
on July 2nd?
No.
Okay,
but
that's when it happens.
Yeah, I know, but it was years ago, before all the alien fascination.
Okay. Anyway,
Roswell was boring in those days.
Anyway, so I spent my time doing that and cutting out bags, and so I probably didn't get as much stitching done as I would have otherwise gotten done, but I did get some done. I continued to work on Stars and Stripes by stitching with the Housewives. I got the R and the ampersand done, and I'm about to start the S for the stars. I'm getting so sick of white. But there's little blue stars and I don't know what all. So, and I can't show it to you because there's no pictures. So, but it was.
So it will be a surprise.
I saw that what they're doing for June for their roundabouts is also patriotic themed. I was like, oh, I really like those. Yeah, I haven't finished the ones I bought 2 years ago.
What's a roundabout?
Well, it's the same size of thing, only they're round instead of square.
Yeah.
And
it's like how you finish it or whatever.
Yeah.
No, they're just the patterns are round.
Yeah.
So Paisleys and Polka Dots has been making stuff to go with a lot of their things, and I was like, I want those too. But I told myself no. And I have enough. So my second WIP-GO project since it's after the 15th, for WIP-GO was for June. None of my words are coming out right. Is Wizard Snowman, which I had a printed out picture of it, but I can't find it. And it's on so you'll see it here. But I didn't realize I had started Mary Ravenclaw. So I haven't started this month's 10 days yet because I was working on my camp project because I hadn't gotten enough done on that. So my camp project is Robin by Cute Patterns by Maria, and that's all the further I've gotten.
That cute, adorable little Robin.
Yeah, I was hoping because it was so small that maybe I'd get it done, but it's very tedious because of the color changes, but also my eyes hurt, so I haven't been stitching as long. If my eyes are hurting, I just put it down. So I haven't gotten very much done. I should have gotten more done, but I didn't. And then my WIP-GO project that I was working on for the first half of the month is cross-stitching for Fun's Art Deco Summer. And I finished the dragonfly, and I started on the butterfly.
Cool. Let me see. That's so pretty.
Yeah.
Does it have a lot of back stitching? Did you just say that?
It doesn't have as much back stitching as the spring one, but it does have back stitching. The
Antenna.
yeah,
Yeah.
are all back stitched. So since the rest of these are butterflies, yeah, each one has, but it's not like they have back stitching all around or anything.
I was wondering
like
if they
that.
had it like on the wings to define the wings.
Looks like it's just the antenna.
That's nice.
Oops.
Oops.
I don't think so. No, just the antenna.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then I remembered to do my temperature SAL
Oh, I was wondering about that last week. You didn't talk about it last week.
because it was Thursday.
Oh. I see.
So strict.
Okay. Good for her.
So I had to do 2 weeks worth, but I did the first week before. And let me just say, we've had some interesting weather in that the temperature is not really going up. It's kind of staying the same and dipping down a little bit, and yeah, but
been very
tiny
mild.
bit. Yeah. So far this month we have not gotten above 106, and that was only for 2 days, and then it's been high to low 90s and like right at 100. Okay, I know you guys think that's hot, but it really isn't.
For us, we're like, wow.
I saw something like a news blurb saying something about the monsoon season as if it started, and I thought, well, it must be in some other part of the state because it ain't here.
Well, they just talk about the humidity levels. is
So
what it's-
here's where I am, and you'll see that it's not the same color, but they're close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's neat.
So for the end of May and all of this month, we've hovered around the same temperatures.
That's neat, though.
Yeah. So
Stay tuned for the deep
You can really
reds.
tell the gradation. Like,
Yeah.
you're cool, it's really hot.
it's going to get
It's
really
going to
hot.
get worse.
Yeah. So anyway, that is me.
Should I go next?
If you want to.
Since you're looking intently at your...
I want to make sure
pattern.
I'm not getting lost.
So, in exciting news, I finished both sides of Hannah's sweater. This is the Baracco
That's so-
Yarns
I just love those
Medina
colors.
sweater. That's the... I don't know the back and front are exactly the same.
I think that should be the front because of the dark green stripes. Because the back, they're not as prominent.
Well, fortunately, she can turn it around however she feels.
Yeah.
I sewed the shoulders. I finished the second half yesterday, and sewed the shoulders up last night. And I think the seams came out pretty good. It's like a stair step decrease on the shoulders, and I mean shaping. So it looks kind of lumpy underneath because you have these little corners. I don't know if you can see. I'll put a close up. But it's stitched together pretty well, and then you go around the whole neck edge. You pick up stitches all the way around. It said how many. I didn't count. I just did it. You pick it up all the way around, and then you bind it off all the way around. So it's just 2 rows of a little edging there. This hasn't been blocked, so it's kind of rolling a little bit, but it's supposed to roll. And then the next thing you do is along the sleeve. So from this, oh, there's supposed to be a marker here. It fell out. From this marker to this marker is the sleeve, So when you sew it together, you have the sleeve opening. And you do the same thing, but on a straight line. You pick up stitches along this edge, and then you go back and bind it off. And that just gives it a nice little edge there. So then, after that, you put it together. And what I'm doing right now, what I started since on camera, is I pinned it with my little locking pins from the bottom of the sleeve here to the edge. Now, when you sew knits together, whoop, I dropped my needle. Whee, there it is. When you sew knits together, you know, you always want to start at the most visible edge so that just in case it's a little wonky, you can kind of fudge it and it'll be under the arm rather than having these two edges not meet well. So I started just doing a what's called invisible seaming or blanket stitch. I've just gotten just this far since we've been filming. So that's what I'm doing. And this should be done hopefully tonight. I'll block it tomorrow and hopefully get it in the mail on Monday or Tuesday at the latest. So get it in the mail to her summer festival where she is. So if I get it done before I edit this video, I'll put a picture of it on the mannequin right here. If not, you'll see it next week. And then, so, should I tell my haul in stories or should I tell it now? I have a little bit of haul.
No.
Tell it now.
When we were
did.
delivering Hannah to her summer festival in Taos, New Mexico, well, we stopped off in Albuquerque on the way up, and of course we had to visit the yarn shop at Nob Hill if you were in the Albuquerque area.
I love Nob Hill.
It's great. I bet Vicki knows about it. That is a great shop, and they have a beautiful. So they house foster kitties there. They have like a whole what do you call it? Like a cat enclosure. But during the day when they're in the shop, they just let the cat roam. And when we were there years ago, there was a calico kitty there that I really wanted to bring home. That was in the era of Pippin and Tyler. And if we hadn't had a cat at home, I would have brought that cat all the way from New Mexico. She was wonderful. And then when we were there this past weekend, there was another kitty there, so sweet, just came up and talked to everybody, had one of those real throaty, meows.
It's a really good way to socialize cats.
Yeah. And so basically you can just adopt them straight, you know. But they work with a foster organization. Which I think is really cool because a lot of people see the cats, you know, and interact with them there. I got squishy souvenirs. So I walked around that shop and there was 3,000 million things, of course, to buy. Hannah bought herself some beautiful yarn by Noro. But then she regretted because she only bought one skein, and it's hard to do anything with one skein. It's like 300 yards. And then we spent like the whole evening before we took her to camp looking for patterns that would accommodate it. And I don't know that she ever found one that she liked. And I said, you could crochet, because she also has her crochet needles with her. Like, you could crochet a really nice, like a beanie with that gorgeous yarn. It's really beautiful. Anyway, so I walked around. I'm like, what do I want? Well, I'm getting my sock machine, as I mentioned last week. So I decided to buy 2 balls of this really beautiful sock yarn. One is like a, rusty red color. It's called Cape York. I don't know what that has to do with the color. And this one is called Isle Royale. It's just purpley, and this rusty color. And I thought those would make nice socks.
Not one for each foot, but...
No.
This is 100 grams. 100 grams usually makes 2 socks easily. So I'm just stocking up on socks. Stocking up on stocking socks.
Stocking up on stockings.
Stocking up on stockings. Anyway, I'm stocking up because I figure once I get cranking and figure it out, I have a whole bunch of like what I call cheapy sock yarn that I got on sale for like $1 a ball for the little 50-gram balls, which 50 grams make 1 sock, 100 grams makes 2. So I bought them in pairs when I bought them. So I have a whole bunch in my stash. So those I'm gonna use to make my first practice socks, and then I have these 2 and another one that I bought at Tempe Yarn that are what I consider, a little bit nicer. Like those are mostly acrylic, those ones I was talking about, and these are actually wool and nylon. So, so once I get the hang of it, I'll be using this yarn. So I'm just collecting. There is a yarn shop in Taos, so when we go back, and it's the yarn shop I think I mentioned that Arne and Carlos went to. But so when we go back, I'm gonna go there. But we didn't have time this trip. But we did have time to go to the one in Albuquerque. So that's all I've been doing is focusing on this sweater and getting her done. So that's it. That's it for me.
Okay. Let me just pull this to the back here. Okay. So I have a finish. My cross stitch camp piece. I'm going to put a close-up picture of it here, but because you can't really see it here. But this is Itty Bitty Kitty and the Baby Robin, which should be called Baby Kitty and the Itty Bitty Robin, because the Robin is 1/1. And so this pattern, I did make a couple of changes, because the pattern, has this backstitched border around it, and in the upper corners there are these backstitched bows. And I think I mentioned last week I did half of one bow, and I had to put it down for whatever reason. And when I came back to it, I could not tell where I was, because it's so small and it's angled, and there's just a lot of congestion, and you can't really see. I couldn't see what I was doing, so it just looked like a big blob of nothing. So I didn't do the bows, and I just did some little curly Q things, on the corner there. And then
I see.
And then it called for petite white beads, and I looked at some beads that we had, some small beads that we had, and they were just too big. They weren't the same size as these petite beads. The pattern calls for Mill Hill Petite, but they're white beads, and like I said, the white beads that I did have were I thought were too big. But I did have these gold petite beads. I had some gold and some that were a bluish silver, and I liked the way the gold looked better.
I think I like the way the gold looks better on here than the white beads.
Yeah, because those white
picture.
On that. Yeah, but I thought the white would show up better on because my fabric is a little darker than the.
But I like that gold.
Called for. But the gold beads give it a little glint, and they're not supposed to be like snow falling or anything like that. It's spring, right? And so I like the way they kind of pop there on the fabric and everything. But I finished it, and it's it's small, but there's a lot going on with all there's.
You thought, I'm going to do this little pattern and it'll be easy.
Because I knew the robin was 1/1, but I didn't think too much of it. But the word spring is 1/1, and then in the flowers and all that, there's some satin stitches, and just and there's a lot of back stitching, but it's not really difficult. It's just that it's so tiny, and there's places where you're going at an angle, and it's basically over one, and so it was just really hard to see.
Paper visitor.
To do. But this is my June cross stitch camp piece, so it is done. So there's that, and then for WIP-GO I still have. So this was for my WIP-GO things I have to do a new start for each number, and so I'm counting this as my one new start because I started on June 1st. So I still have to choose a second new start, and I kind of have some ideas, but I haven't landed on one yet. But hey, I have until June 30th. I could start it on June 30th and still meet my WIP-GO goal. So one of my WIP-GO numbers was one of the calls was this running with the wind, and I worked on. I didn't, I was trying not to do, white and more white and more white, or lots and lots of gray. But anyway, I worked on this this side over here mostly, and it's the sort of one edge of the ship there, and so there's a lot of white fill in here to build these sails. But I wanted to get over here because there's this is light blue, this little patch right here, but it's a cloud behind the ship. But then that got really tedious too because it's a lot just back and forth, back and forth. So I did all like all this gray on the edge of the cloud and stuff, and I did some of the darker dark gray in this edge. But anyway, that was and I did probably 7 days, 8 days maybe on this. Yeah, so that's Running with the Wind, and that's Tall Ships and Seascapes is the booklet that it came from a million years ago. Mm-hmm. And then this is Old Clipper Ship, but I'm not going to take it out of the hoop because I'm working on it now. But so I decided to do the black that's in the ship itself, the rather than more of the sails stuff. So I started working on the black thing, and I guess today is about the third day. I did a little bit of it last night after I finished the Baby Robin thing. So last night, you could call it the third day, or you could call it today the third day, I don't know. But so I did all of this black here up until I ran out of the thread right here. And so today I'm doing this little bit of gray that starts right here and continues on here. So this is Old Clipper Ship from Seascapes 5 by...
Another ancient pattern.
Yeah, the Running the Wind is Pucker Brush, and this one is Tidewater Originals. They all look the same, And then the other thing I had was I had a little bit of haul. I had some. I actually bought some stuff at Walmart. We were over there, and they had all their school supplies out, and I was like, hook up into the school supply aisle, going, "Do I need it?" It used to be that I would go there, because I had, an office job or whatever, and so things like pens and paper clips and things like that, I could use those. I use those all the time, and so but I still have this this fascination, this fetish about office supplies. And so I was just going up and down the alley going, I like that, but I don't need those. Looking at all the pens going, ooh, what can I use those for? But I did buy, I don't have them here, but I bought some giant oversized paper clips because those are fun, and they're really good for like PDF files. If you buy, you print off a PDF thing, and you've got 3 or 4 sheets of paper, and you can put them together with these big paper clips very easily.
I personally don't like paper clips. They catch other things.
But so this little package, and they were like these 97-cent packages. There's like, and so I got one that has like 7 of these giant paper clips, and they're all different colors. And then I bought a little pencil case, a little mesh pencil case that I think would make a good notions pouch kind of thing. And then the other thing I bought was a little package of magnets. They're just like you would put on your bulletin board or whatever, but they're shaped like little arrows. And I thought, those would be nice needle minders. Actually, I could just stick a magnet on the back, and But then this thing I bought. Where did I buy? Oh, I bought this at Hobby Lobby, and it's just a little pouch they had there. It has a mesh, smaller pouch on the front, and this little floral pattern fabric pouch. And then I also bought, and I think I showed this kit thing on my channel last weekend. But this is a dimensions kit. It came with all the stuff, and I thought I took it apart and thought, oh, it's just the right size for this. But it came with a little thing of Aida fabric, and I think it came with the threads on one of those strip card things that they're sewn into. So I have to get some floss drops or something for those. But this is it's called Playful Cats is the name of this pattern, and it says life is better with cats, and it has a chair with several cats on it, and the reason I was drawn to it is that that's kind of the color of this green. I have a green chair in my room, and this
from
is
IKEA.
Yeah, this is a little more turquoise-ish, but it looks very much like this. The cat's all over it. But so that was I thought that was kind of cute, and so there's that, and I think that's it for me.
So I'm going to tell my story.
Oh yeah, don't forget about your bead.
So I found this bead today. I was working on the alien bead maybe 3 days ago, 2 days ago. I don't know. It wasn't today. And I've been stepping on these since then. And the reason is that they are they're in a tube, a boxy tube. And the tubes, I stacked them together because I wanted to carry them to another room. And that one popped out.
Oh, no.
And the top popped off, and half the tube was on the floor.
I was wondering, I stepped on something earlier this morning.
And I was like,
what am I stepping on?
I cannot remember how to say it in Spanish, but my mom used to say the lazy one works double.
El flojo trabaja doble.
Yeah.
And I had more than that in my hands, and that's why it popped out. If I had just made one more trip, I wouldn't have had to sit on the floor finding beads.
So playing 52 card pick.
And I'm still finding beads.
I did that with sunflower seeds yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh,
Not because I was too lazy to make more than one trip, but because I was too lazy to actually throw away the bowl that had the ones I hadn't eaten yet. And it was on a TV tray, and it just dumped.
so also, the charms that I was telling you about that I bought a long time ago, the Marine Mom and all that. There's one that I didn't use when I was making those that says, I love my soldier. To me, a soldier is just army, and I know that that's not true, but that to me, that's what that is. But I had those, and I knew I had seen them. Spent forever looking for them. Couldn't find them. They were in the first place I thought they were, but they were covered by other charms of some kind. And I was like, okay, if I had looked more carefully instead of going, is it in that one? No. Now I decided to go ahead and put all these patriotic ones. And some of them are really nice. They're not appropriate for those giant beads, like, the little flag and all that. I decided to put them with those, I love my, or Marine Mom or what have you, because they kind of go together. And I don't remember what they were with before, but I chucked them into a different area. was like, oh no. So that I'll be able to figure out what thing they're in. Although I do think I should move the California and the Indian.
Do something
The
else.
Native American. Into a different
Category.
we have them separated by kind of what they are, if it's flowers or
Christmas or something like that.
yeah. And both times, if I had just stopped to actually look, I would have found it right away because that was the bin I thought it was in.
Anytime my kids are like, I can't find something, when they were little, I'd be like, if I find it, can I spank you? So we still say that.
Was it on a movie or was it in a book or maybe it was a comedian that said, I can't find it. And the wife says, it's over, blah, blah, blah. And I looked there and it's not there. And they walk over there and go, right here. Oh, yeah. But the thing is, it's easier to remember where it is if you're the one that put it there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So my dad used to say, it's flying around the light bulb.
That used to make
That
me
used to
really
make me so
annoyed.
mad.
I'm like, I'm not asking that because I haven't looked. Yeah, but if you're not the one that put it away, it's very difficult for you to remember where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seems like, like if you put it somewhere, if you can't remember where it is, you have a picture in your mind of like, I remember setting it down, and so you just have to stop and sort of visualize, what you remember, and a lot of times that'll help you find it, but yeah.
But like I
What
said,
I hate is when I remember that I'm remembering where it was, but it was the time before.
Yeah.
Like it was where it was 6 months ago instead of where it was last week or whatever.
well,
just today.
And and I think a lot of times one spouse is kind of out of the loop of where things is, not necessarily the man, but often the man, because like they're wondering where you went grocery shopping and they're looking for a particular snack that you told them you bought, and they're like, I can't find it, and because they're looking where it normally is, but that's not where you put it for whatever reason.
Yeah, right. Or like, so I was listening to a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Bomber Mafia, which is a really good book. And it's about aviation and the, because anyway, it's about warfare. And anyway, it's really interesting. But one of the things he was talking about, because when Malcolm Gladwell tells a story, he never just tells a story. He tells a story by telling 50 other stories and then he leads you all back into that one story, which is really, I just love him. But one of the things he was talking about was, I can't remember the term he used for it, but it's a form of memory where, like they say, like when one spouse dies, you feel like you've lost yourself, because you really kind of have, because you rely on other people around you to store some of your memory. Mm-hmm. Especially like husbands and wives, you think about that. Like,
one person is the one
Mark
that
doesn't know what he orders at Del Taco because he's relying on me to remember what he orders at Del Taco. But I don't, but I rely on him to remember, a host of other things about the house or whatever. Even just today, when we got our new fridge, on our old fridge, I used to store our griddle above the refrigerator because it's a wide, flat place. And so when we were clearing everything out, we were talking about the griddle, and I remember like, oh, maybe we should replace it, blah blah blah. And then today, Eli and I were talking about what we're gonna do for Father's Day for Eli, for Mark, and like, oh, make him a pancake breakfast, la la la. And I could not remember if we'd gotten rid of the griddle, because we've been making those decisions, like, well, this needs to be replaced, so we'll get rid of it now and replace it in a minute or whatever, because we're in the process of having to take everything out of the kitchen, put everything back. You want to put back only what you really want, right? So we're kind of purging. And I couldn't remember, and so I didn't want to tell him, I want to make you pancake breakfast tomorrow, but I was like, I don't remember what we did with the griddle. because he was like, do we need to buy a new one? And I'm like, I don't know. So I just texted him, did we throw away our griddle? Or do we still have it? And he was like, oh. And then in a minute, he sent me a photo, and it's sitting literally right on the counter. near the new fridge, kind of in the corner, where we put it. And I was, because I remember now, I was like, no, I don't want to throw this away, at this point. If I get a new one, great. But right now, it's not, it doesn't need to be pitched. But neither one of us could remember that it was like literally right there.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Melchiori of the Hotels Impossible, he would tell managers, because they would just walk by a problem and ignore it long enough so then they just didn't see it anymore. And he's like, it's like walking by a dead body every day, and pretty soon you don't see it anymore. It's always...
It's a dead body.
It's a dead body we just didn't remember was there.
I have a very funny story about a griddle. You guys probably already know this story, but I still store my griddle above the refrigerator. And when we were in high school, Robert got home about an hour.
Yeah, Robert was in high school. You were not in high school. You said when we were in high school.
Yes, when Robert was in high school. The griddle was above the refrigerator where I had kept it at the previous place that we had stayed. And he used to get home about an hour before I did. And I came home and he goes, Mom, please don't kill the cat. Oh, no. And I said, what happened? And he said, I heard a loud crash. And I walked into the kitchen and the griddle was in pieces on the kitchen floor. He goes, and the cat murdered it. Because it was on top of the refrigerator and that's where the cat wanted to be. So he got up there and what do cats do? Shoved it off. And so it went flying. And I just, I couldn't even be mad because it was so funny. I guess I had to go buy another griddle, but
I know.
There's a cartoon that Johnny L. Miller just posted, I don't know, yesterday or this morning, or I don't know when it was, on his Instagram thing. But it's a cartoon of a flat Earth, and it said, if the Earth was flat, cats would have knocked everything off of it by now.
Yes.
Well, I will say my two cats is a big difference between them. I used to call Snug the Sherman tank because in my apartment in Little Rock, I had a U-shaped kitchen. It was really nice, but there was one time when I also had my microwave on the counter. You had the refrigerator on one side and the stove, and on the other side had a long counter because there was the dishwasher and then the cabinets and everything. So the counter on that side was long. So that was where my microwave was. But there was a bunch of stuff on top of the microwave, right? And so my two cats, if Puck got up on the counter and was walking around up there, he would walk very delicately around things and and everything, and leave. You couldn't tell that he'd been up there. But Snug would get up there, and not only would he walk on everything, if there was a plate, he would walk on the plate, in the plate. If there was and when there was stuff on top of the refrigerator, he would take his tail and he would press it against whatever was there, and so his tail would act like a rake and knock everything down. and it was just and one time actually I had a plate of one of those shallow bowl kind of plate things, and it was I don't know why I didn't put it in the dishwasher. I don't know if the dishwasher was full or the dishwasher had clean stuff in it and whatever, but I had it was rinsed and everything, but it was sitting on the counter. But it was sitting kind of on the edge of the counter, close to the front edge of the counter. And somehow,
should never sit when you own cats.
Especially breakable things. And so somehow, when Snug walked across there, he caught the edge of that bowl, and it fell. The dishwasher was open. I don't know how. Something like that, because he knocked it down onto the dishwasher, like, the little prongs or something, and broke it that way. But I was just like, I don't know how he did it, but he just knocked it off
morning, there. So I was telling Mark the other day, I said, remember Pippin, who when he was mad or bored or whatever, he would just go into our bathroom, and we have like mirrors on our wall with a little ledge. So we use the little ledge for things. Especially Mark's side, for some reason, that cat, he would just sit on the counter and bloop, bloop, whether it was a cologne bottle or a razor, an electric razor or whatever, he'd just knock everything into the sink. and I was like, remember when Pippin would do that? Like Calvin and Hobbes, as a rule, don't do that. Well, I always say that underneath our bed there must be a book left by Pippin for Hobbes. How to wake mom up. What to do when you're hungry. How to be as annoying as possible. And in there it's bang the cabinet doors. And apparently the new chapter he read last night was knock dad's electric razor into the sink. Because this morning I hear a crash and I'm like, are you kidding me? Hobbes,
well, you
stop reading that book.
You prevented him from being able to take down the stuff in the kitchen, the stuff that's not a wall but is part of the wall.
Oh, the drywall.
Yes. I don't know why I couldn't come up with that word.
Yeah, I know. We closed off his little walkway between the pipes.
Savannah loved knocking stuff off of anything.
I don't understand what that is in cat behavior.
She knocked drinks off of stuff. I'd be sitting there watching TV with a drink there, and she'd jump up there and go.
Remember, Patches? You had a little glass of milk, and you were laying on the couch. It's in our parents' house, and Eve was laying on the couch, and she had a little plastic glass of milk. And she was drinking it, and she put it on the floor beside her. She's laying on the couch like this. She put it right here. And I was across the room. And here comes Patches tearing through the room. And she ran in, stopped, ran back, knocked the milk over, and took off. Like, wait. I got to do this.
Well, she used to like to run around the middle part of the house.
Yeah.
The house was shaped in that. It had this room, a hallway, and in the middle was the utility room. Uh-huh. And the cat used to love to just run that circle. We did too when we were kids.
So did our dog.
Yeah. And he was doing zoomies.
Yeah.
And then he ran past the milk, and then it was like, oh man, I missed it. I meant to knock it down. He went back and knocked it down.
Yeah.
Your cat pulled cornflakes on its head.
Luna, my cat Luna. I was sitting cross-legged in the living room watching TV, and I had a bowl of cornflakes, and I had two cats at the time, Luna and Kitty. And Kitty was older, much more wise. Luna was crazy. And I think Luna had walked by, and I grabbed her, you know how you do, and I put her in my lap like a baby. So she was kind of under the table. And I looked down, and she was looking up because my bowl was just like where the curve of the bowl was over the edge of the table. And she's sitting there like this, and she reaches up and grabs the edge of the bowl. And I was like, no. And she pulled it down. And so as I'm watching like slow-mo movie, she's like, because the milk is pouring already.
I thought that happened in Mom's house.
It was in Mom's house.
And Kitty was mine then, wasn't she?
Kitty was mine at that point.
Anyway,
so then
she went running
away, and she had milk and cornflakes all over, and she was a long-haired cat. That was one of the two
but she
times I
dripped
baked
milk
her.
and cornflakes everywhere.
But there's Kitty going after her, eating the cornflakes. Kitty's like, I'm not going to do anything stupid, but I'll take advantage of your stupid.
Like, snacks.
Yeah, and Hobbes is definitely the knocker-downer of everything. But he's so cute. He has these little fuzzy balls that I think Rachel gave him at Christmas. And they're his most precious toy. But it is the cutest thing. He'll take it, and he walks around with it in his mouth. and he'll go and like get up on something, on a chair, on a stool, something, even on a shelf of like a end table or something, and he'll drop it and then jig it down and chase it. And then he'll get up and he'll drop it for himself to chase. It's the cutest thing ever. And one time he was bugging me. I was sewing in Hannah's room, and he was bugging me to hold him. He wanted to jump on everything. And I'm like, no. So I saw that one of those little fuzzy balls was there, and I took it and I threw it in the hallway. And he ran after it. And pretty soon here it comes with it in his mouth, and he put it right there like a dog. So I threw it again. It's the only time he's really fetched. But he did it like 4 times. I couldn't believe it. But he plays on his own with that little ball. It's so cute. And then, but he likes to, like, I was working on this, and somewhere in the vast sea of this knitting, there is a stitch because this yarn is made up of, like, you know, the yarn, and then there's like threads of other things. There's one of these stitches where one thread of the ply is snagged. Well, it was snagged about that far, and I worked it back in because he just has to come and plop himself. And I'm like, no, you need to get down. And so he went to move, but his claw got stuck. And I'm like, no, not again with your claws. But he'll go and, like, all my little things are on the end table by me, and he's like, what's that? Knock it down. Like, stop it. Well, I don't know what that compulsion is in cats.
I typically stitch in bed, so I'm lying, stretched out on my side, and I'm stitching away. And so my cats, will sometimes they'll be lying at the foot of the bed, and other times, they want me to pay attention to them. So like Puck typically walks up my side like this, and he's leaning on, he's standing on my arm or whatever, and I'm like, I love you with all my heart, but get off of me. And but so he'll come up and he'll stand on me or walk on me, and I don't mind him on my hip, but on my arm, I can't stitch because he's on my arm, and I can't see because he's on my left. But Snug, a lot of times, will come up and he'll lie beside me very nicely, but he gets closer and closer and closer and closer. And so, like, I'm trying to keep him, push him away, whatever. But so one time he was lying beside me, and so I was stitching, and he was kind of below, like, I'm stitching like this, and he's, kind of down here. And I had kind of a long piece of thread because I had just started. And, I'm a thread licker. So, I lick the end of the thread when I thread the needle.
Gross.
And so once in a while, when I'm stitching like that, if the thread happens to be in front of Snug's face, passing by his face, he has this instinct, cat instinct, and he'll like grab the moving thread, with his, he'll grab it like this. So, and a couple times he's like pulled on it and pulled the needle out of my hand or whatever. But this particular time, as I went to stitch, the thread fell across his face, and I could tell it was. He flossed his teeth with it. Not just a little bit of it, but with the whole length of the thread. It was sopping wet, and I'm like, okay, that's really gross. Because I know at some point I'm going to forget that he did that, and I'm going to stick that nasty thread in my own mouth.
And get all stiff and yucky.
So nasty.
Well, Hobbs, anytime he gets near yarn, he goes. Like he's gonna he puts his nose in it, and then he opens his little mouth and tries to. Why are you barking?
Because she wants you to call her over there and pay attention to her.
She's right here. Hello.
She's been over here rubbing on my leg.
Okay, get down.
She's like, you're talking about cats, and I'm cuter.
But they're so crazy. I had a coworker one coworker I have has cats of her own, and we were talking, and we were talking about how wonderful, and I was talking about how, or we were talking about waking up, because we had to get up early to do a little film thing on Friday morning. And so my friend was like, will you call me and make sure I'm up? I'm like, sure, because we had to be downtown at 7:30. So so she wanted me to call her and make sure she was up. So I'm like, no problem. So we were talking about, I said, I get up really early anyway, because that's the time Hobbs decides I need to be up, and he's on me, and as I call it, fish flopping. Lay this way, lay that way, stick your butt in my face, lay this way, lay that way. He won't just cuddle. He's so crazy. And so our other colleague was like, are you talking about a cat? Like that. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, and we're like, and so my one friend who has cats goes, well, that's a red flag, or something like that. And she goes, and so then my other friend's like, well, you know what is a red flag? Is people saying that's a red flag. And I'm like, well, it's definitely a red flag on a first date. So, yeah. And then I sent my cat friend a picture of Hobbs, like, in my face in bed one morning. I said, oh, she's so wrong. She's like, truly.
So,
I don't know what I'd do.
My
if
dog
Mark
is the
didn't like
opposite.
it.
I get up and I'll be up running around for a while, and I'll go in, I'm like, are you getting up?
He's like, no.
And she opens her eye. It's like, no.
I'm still sleeping.
And I give her kisses and ask her to come, and she's like,
Nah.
that's okay. and I have to kind of pull her off the bed or get her out and go to the bathroom so that I can do stuff, right? Especially if I have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be doing something over here on this side of the house, and I'm like, where's the dog? And I go, and she's over there laying in bed.
I went back to bed.
And anytime that she sees me head down that hallway, she's hoping I'm going to go lie down. And it's not that she doesn't sit beside me on the couch or something.
Right.
It's just not the same.
Yeah. She probably misses Dad. Remember, she used to get in bed with him all the time.
Yeah.
Well, this morning, when you had texted and you
Well,
said,
she's
oh,
always been like that about getting out of bed.
I'm going to be a little later, this morning. And so Eve said, well, I'm going to go lie down, because I got up very early. And so since Naomi's going to be a little while, I'm going to go lie down. So she went to lie down, and she took the dog, went in there and laid down with her. And I was eating a bowl of cereal.
After I had already almost gone to sleep.
Yeah, she had gone to her room, and I was in here, getting things ready and whatever. And then I thought, well, I guess I better eat breakfast because Naomi's going to be a little late and blah, 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 blah. So I went over there, and I went to make myself a bowl of cereal. And the dog and I have a routine where when I make a bowl of cereal, I'll put a few flakes or a few pieces of cereal on the floor for her. And so she's always like, when she sees me, if she's up, she sees me getting the box of cereal or whatever, and she hears me pouring cereal in the bowl, and she comes over like, I got my cereal snack. And just like when she hears me feeding the cats, she wants a kitty snack. So, because I've trained her to want that.
No. She's trained you.
Yeah. But so I thought, well, she's not here right now, but I'll just leave her, a few pieces of cereal when she wants a snack. And so after a while, Eve comes out and she goes, is Naomi here? And I said, no. And she goes, well, the dog thinks she is. And I'm like, no, the dog just wants her cereal snack. She heard me put some cereal on the floor for her.
Yeah.
And she came running. She was bugging Eve.
No, she jumped off the bed and was like all excited. And so I shut the door and went back to lie down. And then there she is at the door, upset that I wouldn't get up and let her back in.
It's like the other night, I hadn't fed the cat still kind of late. And so I was like...
So she's looking at you like, hey.
No, she was already in bed.
I was already in bed.
and so
almost
I was
asleep.
I was trying to kind of sneak around and not make a lot of noise. And I thought, well, I don't want to leave cereal cat food on the floor for her because then she'll get up and everything.
Right.
And it was already very late. But I hadn't fed my poor cats who were in there starving. And so I was, getting some cat food for the cats. And
and
I
tried to get out.
When she gets up, I hear her flapping her ears.
Oh.
And so I heard her get up, and I'm like, oops. And I think I said something about, I said the magic words kitty snacks. I can't remember. But she came, she was like fussing at the door.
She was mad.
I thought that she needed the bathroom when she first jumped off the bed. And then I'm like, she's not giving you any food. But yeah.
Oh, so I went on a grand adventure last weekend.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
It was great. We drove on Saturday to Albuquerque, and we were racing against time because Taqueria Mexico closes at 7. And they're not open on Sundays. And we're like, Hannah and I were like, we must be there. So we had talked to my brother. I called him the day before, and I was like, you want to meet us at, want to have dinner with us at Taqueria? Are you down? He's like, I'm down. So we were running a little behind, and so I called him. I'm like, can you pick up our aunt so that we can just meet you there? And he's like, I'm kind of coming from somewhere else. And I was like, okay, we'll go get her, and then I don't know how long it'll take to get there. Hopefully we'll get there before 7. And I'm like getting nervous because, time is, how it is when you're driving and you have to stop here and you got to go to the bathroom.
Okay,
there.
we need to preface this that Mexican food in
New Mexico,
Arizona is very different from New Mexican food in New Mexico.
Yeah. Well, and actually this is an actual Mexican place, but
it's still different.
But it's so good. And Hannah has been dreaming about that food for a year now. So, then my brother calls me while we're on the road, and he's like, I can get her. And I was like, okay. So then we go, and actually both aunts and my cousin were there. But we raced over there and ate way too much food. It was so good. I had the caldo, which I always get. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Caldo soup.
Yeah, and it's like the broth is incredibly flavorful, and there's big chunks of beef like this, and a whole like a corn on the cob, and big chunks of carrot, and chunk of potato, and celery, which I love cooked celery. I'm a freak. And then they put a thing of rice with it, and put the rice in the broth. Oh my gosh, it's so good. No chili, no heat, just flavor, and it's just so good. Anyway, I had also been dreaming about that meal. Mark didn't think it was hot enough, and he didn't like it that much. And I'm like, well,
he's a gringo. What is
I guess I will stay married to you anyway. Whatever. So anyway, but
I think I found one of your beads
under your feet. And then on Sunday we went to the Rio Grande Nature Preserve down by the river, which in my memory, I don't know, did we ride bikes down there at some point?
We used to ride. I used to ride. I think you went with me one time on the trail
along the canal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I don't remember ever walking into the thing where you could walk down to the river ever in my life, in the whole time I lived there. But I went with Hannah and her friend in January of.
Can you still see the fire?
The
results of the fire.
What fire?
This is by the Rio Grande, right?
Right. No.
There was
I don't know what fire you mean.
There was a very bad bosque fire, and that facility was threatened.
But it is beautiful. I have some pictures I'll put here. But so they do have like this observation area. I don't know what part of the river it is, but it's like almost like a bog, almost like a tributary where we didn't go into the visitor center, but they have a wall and they have cutouts at different heights, like child height and adult height, where you can look in there. And I think like ducks come there. Probably because in the winter we saw tons of ducks, but right now we just saw a few. But there were some turtles. I got those good pictures of those turtles, and in that area. And then we kept walking, and we actually went down to the river. We didn't walk very far because it was already getting kind of warm by the time we went. So that was nice, and I think it really helped that we stopped in Albuquerque for so long, because that's at like 5,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went up to Taos on Monday, and the altitude, you know, not just Taos is higher, but then we went to the ski valley, which is even higher.
Yeah, Taos is like 9,000 feet
And
above sea level.
Hannah
Came from sea level. Yeah. So she came here, which we're basically at sea level. And then, so I think that gradual step, because we had lunch in Taos, and then we went up to the ski valley. So I think that kind of gradual acclimation really helped her. Because she said she hasn't had altitude sickness. They did go on a hike the other day, and it was tough, but she hasn't felt sick. You know how you get like headachy, and like we were in Greer. Remember when we all had headaches that day? So I think that really was a really good idea. And we ate at a really cute little place at Taos, and we couldn't spend a lot of time. But the ski valley itself was just gorgeous. It was so funny. Okay, so we were like, Hannah had forgotten to get like Tylenol or something, or Excedrin, what she really wanted, in case she got a migraine. You know how it goes. We had just forgotten to do that, and so we're like, well, when we get to Taos, we'll do it. And then we were driving around Taos, and you know how that is. And we didn't find like the sort of modern area of Taos where there's, you know, Walmart and all that, because we were just driving and didn't know our way, we couldn't get our bearings, and then we were like, okay, let's go up the ski valley, because also the plan was to drive home all the way from Taos to Arizona in one fell swoop that day and not stop back in Albuquerque. So we did not want to spend a ton of time up there if we could help it. And so when we got to their camp facility, we were very early, because I guess the rest of the camp wasn't coming till like 6 p.m. and we were there at noon, so ish. But they were very accommodating and gave us a little tour, and actually wound up checking her into her room early, which is nice. But in the little tour that this young lady gave us, she's like, just up the road, she said about a mile is a store we often go to called Sid's, and that'll have, you know, your general whatever. So then as we were leaving, we were like, is it walkable? She's like, well, it's kind of far, but on a nice day, you know, whatever. It's not walkable. It's like still up the mountain, and it's actually 2 miles, and in that altitude, I don't know, but it's in the actual ski. So here's the thing. We were like, well, if this Sid's place is just a mile up the road, why don't we just go and get her some Excedrin, and we'll come back and drop it off to her on the way down. And so we're like, okay. So we go up, and about a mile, there's nothing. There's like cabins, but no store. And we go up to and we go all the way to the end of the road, which is the ski resort. It's like an alpine village. It's gorgeous. And we're like, that can't be here, can it? And we don't see anything. We're like, oh, let's go back down. So we go back down, searching, and we get to her place. And we're like, maybe it is at the ski resort. So then we go back up, and we park, and we're like, it has to be in here. So we start to walk into the little sort of alpine village, and there's people around. It's not completely closed for the summer. And I see, oh, Sid's. There it is. So we walk to it. It's closed because it's only open on X days during the off season. We're like, so I'm like, well, there has to be. So I walk in, and I asked this girl who talked like this, if there was any other stores around, and she's like, no, there aren't really anything else in the off season. Seriously, she talked like that, and I was like, okay. And I walked out, like, stop it. It's very rare that you really meet somebody like that, except on TikTok. But anyway, so I walked out, and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So, and I'm like, there has to be something else. I just followed my nose. And then I see, so we kind of walk in, and I see more people, like, hanging out. I'm like, what are these people? Do they work here? Do they live? What is... And I guess there's actually, like, houses in there, like, where you can actually live up there. I don't know. And...
Is that anything like, I lived in a tiny town in Florida, and a woman came in and ordered something in the framing department that cost something over $200, and she went to pick it up and wanted to write a check, and she was from New York. And we said, we don't take out of town checks.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, who lives here?
People.
I do.
Nice.
And I was like,
Get out of my star. Anyway, so I followed. I was looking at these people like walking around, and some people were on bikes and stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? But it was obviously a dead place because it's summer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to picture it with all the snow and everything. Anyway, and there's a pool and a jacuzzi, and I'm like, who uses that? Because even it was June, and it was in the 50s. It was so cold. And we didn't have our jackets because we just got out of the car thinking there's Sid's. I can see it. Let's just walk over there. And we're like, so anyway, we go, and I see this sign that says Bumps Market with an arrow. And I'm like, that has to be someplace. So we go walking, and by this time we were like down and around and down these stairs, and we find this great market. And I get her, because they just had the little travel packs, but I get her Excedrin and Advil and Tylenol and Pepto-Bismol and anything I can think of, like, just a little pharmacy, because I didn't think about it before. And then, we bought her some snacks, and I wanted to buy her some, because there was a fireplace there off the kitchen building and she even said, sometimes we sit around and have a fire. So there's a bag of marshmallows. I'm like, we should get these marshmallows. And Mark's like, no. And so so I didn't get them for her. Anyway, and then we drove back down and we gave her all the oranges we had with her. We just loaded her up with more stuff. And like that night and the next night, they had a fire. And I was like, I wanted to get you marshmallows. And your dad said no. But anyway, so it was our adventure. Up and down, up and down, up and down. But the river that flows down the Tuskegee Valley was gorgeous. It was full and beautiful, and I'm like, I want my fishing rod.
Is that the Rio Grande up there?
No, up there it's just a little stream. Looks like wider than Santa Barbara, but like a little stream that goes, I don't know from where, through the ski valley. Like the road is like this, and there's the river like that, and gorgeous. And there were campgrounds. So on the way down, we stopped at all the campgrounds. But it was like, pull in 2 spots, pull in 3 spots, and you can't really reserve them. And we're like, they're very small and jam crammed. So like, I don't know if our giant tent would even fit in here. But I'm like, I want to camp here so badly. And then, but no, on the way between Santa Fe and between Espanola and Taos, as you're going up, you're right along the river, along the Rio Grande.
Yeah,
and it's right out your window, and it is full and swollen and gorgeous.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Even in Albuquerque, it's very full. Today, I mean, it was this weekend, and
you mean too full for people to drive their trucks out on it?
Yeah, and
because most of the time in Albuquerque, what's called what you say, the Rio Grande, and it's mostly like especially in the summer, like a little trickle on one side of this big dry sandy bed,
and people think it's not a river,
but it's underneath.
But yeah, it's very it's still.
But it was very full.
Yeah.
It was very full.
But,
I'll show you pictures from where we walked to it. It was very full and pretty fast. And then as you're driving up there where it's before it gets into the gorge, it was just beautiful. And I'm like, I want to stop, but we couldn't stop. But in August we're gonna stop. But and then you get up there past Espanola, and I think it's after Espanola, but past where we turn off to go camping usually as a family up there, and then you can see the gorge.
Yeah,
it was gorgeous. The gorge was gorgeous.
The gorgeous gorge.
And I would love to go take a detour and go across the bridge. Yeah, that would be really fun. But
yeah, I've been across there. I guess when Judy was visiting and her friend, she and her friend and I think we met the rest of the family up in Santa Barbara. But I went through like Madrid and all that with Judy and her friend.
Yeah.
And we drove like, I don't know, the Turquoise Trail.
The Turquoise Trail. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
And but we went across the
bridge.
gorge.
Yeah, yeah. We saw signs for it, you know. But of course we could take no detours that day. But it was really a beautiful drive, and the mountains up there were absolutely gorgeous.
This is a great time of year to go up there too, because it's
so nice.
It's not
so
frozen
cold.
yet.
I couldn't believe how cold it was.
Yeah.
And we went and found our VRBO. We went and found it, so we know exactly what it looks like. And we're like, I think we need a telescope for this trip, because she sent us a picture of the Milky Way over the mountain, just so clear and beautiful. So anyway, I'm looking forward to going back. We'll have more time.
Yeah.
But I am going to go look at backsplash tile today. I got to go pick that out, and I think we'll have everything picked out. So, on July 24, they're going to tear it all out. Seems like it's coming soon, but it's still a month away.
Well, you know, this thing with the leak gave you the impetus to do something you've wanted to do since you bought the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it didn't give us the impetus. It forced us over the cliff.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to spell impetus this week. I was trying to use it in a report, and I'm like...
Impetus.
Impetus. How do you spell it? It's
IMPETUS?
I know, but I couldn't think of that. I was thinking POTICE. And I'm like, that's not right. And if you tried to spell it that way, the computer would say impotence? No.
Well, I played that Wordly game, not the one that first came out, but one of the knockoff ones.
Right.
And there are times when I'll use some word and it'll say word not in dictionary. I'm like, that's a real word. Get out of here.
Dad used to get mad at the word game that he would play, and he'd say, it's not recognizing real words, but it wants me to put in words that aren't real words.
Yes, like slang and abbreviations. It makes me create that one word escape. Makes me so angry. It like LITE. That's not a word. Technically, it's not a word.
Yeah, it's an advertising thing.
It's a word. It's a word if you're sending text. But
right, or like MIC is not a word either. But people use it all the time. And well, maybe it is now.
I don't know. Dad would go. He'd say, "I can't get it," and I'm like, "It's probably some stupid thing." But he used to play that game all the time because he was told to.
It was a good game for him.
Yeah,
and he liked it, I think.
Overall he liked it. It's just those stupid things that weren't really words.
Yeah,
he'd get so mad.
There was a lot of slang and like abbreviations, which I'm like, that's not real.
Yeah.
But I really do think I need to go.
Yes.
Carry on with my day. And look how much I've gotten sewn today since I've been talking. Got this much sewn. And
I would have gotten this S done if I'd done it right the first time.
I was up all night. Oh, look how nice that seam looks. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And see? Little blanket stitch on the inside.
So you might get it done today.
Oh, I'm getting it done today.
I mean,
I'm going to ignore all my other obligations.
Except going to get backsplash.
Oh, yeah, because that's fine. But no, tonight. I was up all night last night finishing sewing the shoulders and doing the edging. Because I'm like, I want to finish this sweater. But then I realized, I still have to sew the sides. So I'm
your cat suffered while you were gone because I was stitching and watching movies and stuff, and so oh, it's 12 o'clock, I haven't fed the cats yet. Sorry. And they're
nice.
And
didn't they start fighting with each other and running around?
No, I think, like I said, I think
saved that for us.
I think one was basically hiding under the bed the whole time I was there.
Hobbs.
And the other one,
Calvin.
Toward the last night, I guess Sunday night, or maybe no, I think on Monday, it finally came out and and then jumped up, looked at me a little bit, but when I would get up to go feed them, he would run away.
Oh.
And then like really late Monday night, he came and got up on the back of the couch where you found him.
Uh-huh.
But they were I don't know who you are. Why are you in my house?
Sorry, I just stopped it. Sorry, I stopped the recording and thought I stopped it, but I hadn't stopped it, so then I stopped it. So sorry.
Well, I was gonna say that but like.
Once you say Eve, they know who you are. They just don't like you.
Yeah. Well, because we go there to your house together, and they come out.
Right.
But since you were gone, they, it's like what Robert's cat does to me.
Yeah.
I go in to help, take care of the cat or something if Robert's gone, and he looks at me and goes, "You're not Robert.
You're not my person.
You need to leave."
It's like, but they would like, they'd see one. I can never.
I can't believe you still don't know their names.
The dark one and the light one.
The dark one is Hobbs because he looks like a tiger. I keep trying to tell you that. Hobbs was a tiger. Remember in the cartoon Calvin and Hobbes?
Yeah.
Hobbs was a tiger. So that's how you can remember their names.
But I saw him sitting in the.
I'm going to misname your cats all the time.
Sitting inside
that white one and the black one.
That's what Mom always called them. But so I saw him sleeping in one of the little cat towers in the little one in your room, and at first I couldn't tell. I was trying to see if both of them were in there because I thought I saw two lumps in there, but it was just him and the way the lighting was. So I was walking up and he was just lying in there, and he looked at me and he ran under the bed.
So Hobbs is so silly. When Mark is outside in the backyard, he'll see him and get real scared and hiss at him. And Mark's like, "It's just me, dummy."
That's like the dog barking at Beth if Beth just talks in the hallway.
Yeah. Like if I'm in my room and I say something over there when I'm not out in the living room and
or
the dog's
even
out
in the hallway,
room.
if you're in the bathroom or something and you talk.
Yeah.
She starts barking.
Yeah.
And she does that to Robert too.
Stop it. You be quiet. This is not where you're allowed to talk. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take off and... Oh, here comes the dog. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
Bye.